Hello, everybody. This is Holden Prio, and just doing another Ral gameplay video here. Really quick before we start, just want to let you know that we do actually have an official Discord now, which you can find in my Maxfield profile. It has a link to it here to the Discord, as well as you can connect with me on Maxfield, which is at Holden_Prio, or on Twitter, which is at Shake Gently. Love to address any comments or questions or what your experience has been like with the list, or if you've played any of the other brews or decks that I've spent a lot of time working on. For example, this Dune Popcorn Bucket Giralf list, which I put quite a bit of work into as well, with a full primer and details there. So let's dive right into it. This is my most popular brew that I've worked on, and it's also the one that I've spent the most time working on. It's the one that I have the most top finishes with. I just recently split the top four of a local 30-plus person event for Gaia's Cradle was first place, plus $160 in store credit, so we split all that. And that was a great run that just happened on January 5th. So let's jump in. Here, this is the overall list itself. Just some notable items here are that we're on 21 total lands, only 3 fetchable targets in Mountain, Volk, and Steam Vents, and we are on Vexing Bauble in this deck. We are on Helm of Waking and Ruby Medallion, and on top of all of that, we are not on the big haymakers like Mind's Desire, etc., or Mizzix's Mastery or Invoke Calamity, and our true only quote win conditions in this deck are Grape Shot and Brain Freeze, plus we can also do loops with like Wheel, Time Twister, etc. Or I suppose technically it's possible if you have a Storm-Kiln Artist that gets huge, or a Pinnacle Monk with Prowess that gets huge, if you want to attack with those, but that is never going to happen, and that's extremely rare. Let's dive in. So let's just start with a fresh hand. Okay, so first 7, yeah, this is just seemingly absolutely insane. Let's just double check I'm not missing something. For all these hands, by the way, we're assuming I'm in seat 2, and that the pod isn't like some super wacky pod comp, but it's, I don't know, let's say 2 Timna Thrasios decks and a, I don't know, Rogsai or something. So here we have, depending on what we draw, but we have turn 1, we can actually go turn 1 Ral and Rob the Archives if we wanted to, by going land, Simian Spirit Guide, Rite of Flame, that's 3 mana, Ral, and then Ral would reduce Rob the Archives, which is just an exile effect. Of note though, this is one of the few impulse effects that only exiles them and you can play them for this turn. It's not until the next end step, so that's actually pretty bad here. Plus, in general, it's not good to do that when you're tapped out. But I think this is definitely a keep just because it's so fast, and I think it makes the most sense to go turn 1 Spirit Guide Ral with the land, and then turn 2 use the Rite of Flame to start to build Ral Storm, and try to go off from there. The other thing of note that we really could do is hold mana up and go turn 1 fetch land, pass, and then fetch into a tap land on the end step. Turn 2 Storm-Kiln Artist, because we would have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana available. And Storm-Kiln is so powerful that depending on like who mulligan and what our seat 1 player did, maybe that's relevant. This is just a very flexible hand. It has card draw, it has mana, it has 2 lands in our 21 land deck, it has an engine, and then on top of all of that, it also just has a 1 card win condition and intuition, which that pile, if you've been following along in the way this deck works, intuition gives your opponent the choice of 3 cards you pick from your deck. They put 1 of them in your hand, 2 in the graveyard, and in this deck we always give them, for the most part, we always give them the option of Underworld Breach, Recall, which is just regrowth to get back the Underworld Breach, and then Recoup, which is give a sorcery flashback. So Recoup gives the Recall flashback. So no matter what they give us, we can, the worst possible thing for us would be they give us the Recoup and they put the other 2 in the yard. We go Recoup for Recall, Recall for Breach, Breach, and then we go from there. We already have an Intuition in the yard and a Rite of Flame, etc. So it's usually just a self-contained win. So I think based off of all of that, this is definitely a snap keep on first 7, which is nice. So assume player 1 goes turn 1, I don't know, Ancient Tomb, Arcane Signet, Soul Ring, or something like that. Pass. So we go We draw for turn, strike it rich. Okay. What's nice about this is this gets actually pretty close to us being able to go turn 1, strike it rich. Turn 2, we would have 5 mana available because we would have treasure, land, which is 3, red of flame is 4, spirit guide is 5. And because of that 5 mana, that means that we're pretty close to being able to Storm-Kiln first and then cast a spell. It's pretty interesting. I think given that situation, though, that's really tough. Well, against my better judgment, let's try that line out. I think it's probably, I don't know if safe is the right word, but the one that is the least all in on that line is to just go Ral right away, and then you get to keep all of your resources in hand to see how the turn plays out. So the way that would look for reference is you would go fetch, doesn't really matter, I guess. In this case, you probably don't want to fetch for your mountains. You fetch for Volk, Ral off of Simian Spirit Guide. So that's how that would look. Land in play, pass to the next turn, draw for turn, and then here you have another land in play. So you would have 2 lands with Ral up, and then you get to start the turn by going. I suppose you would start with Rob the Archives to see what you hit off of the 2 cards, while still holding up 1 mana to be able to go Rite of Flame, to then continue to make mana and storm with Ral, etc. But instead, let's take the other line. So we'll go turn 1, fetch, and here we're going to fetch Volk. We're going to cast a Strike It Rich. Think about this like almost like Soul Ring Light in a way. And then let's go to the next turn. Interesting. Wow, does this just get us there by going? So we lose 2, 3 cards, and we would have 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's just mana neutral in that scenario. This is pretty interesting. Had we cast Ral the first turn, that means that instead the Strike It Rich would have been in hand, no treasure here, and we would have gone land, Rite of Flame, which is, actually we don't need to go land. We would go Rite of Flame, no we do, excuse me. Land, Rite of Flame, that's 3 total mana, Inner Fire, and we wouldn't have 1, 2, 3, wouldn't have these cards in hand, but we would have this. So we would have 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means we'd have a Ral in play, and we get to cast Inner Fire, making 4 red mana. So we get to turn 3 mana into 4 red mana. I guess that's not amazing in this situation. So I don't know. I guess I'm glad we did what we did. So from here, we go fetch, grab a mountain, and we're able to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, Inner Fire still doesn't work for us. So instead, we should go 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, that doesn't work. 1, 2, 3, 4 for Storm-Kiln, Simian, and nope, that doesn't work. Okay, let's stick with our original line. So 1, 2, 3, Simian, Storm-Kiln, pass. Here, this is likely a turn 2 win if we don't get interacted with on the Storm-Kiln. Excuse me, turn 3 win. That's pretty powerful, because now we just have the Brain Freeze in hand when we go for our intuition line, which means 1 less time that we have to intuition again for like LED, Brain Freeze, and something else. So from here, we now have Yeah, Storm-Kiln in play and the ability to just go off. So I think what makes the most sense here is to start by casting a Rite of Flame. We trigger Storm-Kiln. This is our first instant or sorcery. We'll call this Ral STORM for turn. Put a treasure in play. Let's assume this resolves. Red, red. Cast the Ral with the double red. And assuming that resolves, now we get to go. Yep. Now we get to go rob the archives without casualty. Trigger Storm-Kiln. Trigger Ral. Heads will always be damage or a loss. Tails is a win, and we get to choose to flip. Tails, no damage. Rob the archives resolves. We exile 2 cards we can play until end of turn. There's a Fierce and a Desperate Ravings. And here, it's actually pretty powerful if we brain freeze ourselves to start, just because it makes so much mana. Mm. Actually, Interfire is neutral here, so I think we do that to start. Actually, we can't. Because we only have 2 mana available. Yeah, it makes most sense to brain freeze. So we brain freeze ourselves, and actual Storm for turn is 1 more because we cast a Ral. So Storm for turn is now this is the 4th spell. So we get 3 other copies besides brain freeze, which means we make 4 total copies of 4 total treasures. 1, 2, 3, 4. The original plus the 3 because Storm-Kiln triggers off Magecraft. Ral has a trigger. We take damage. We brain freeze ourselves for 12. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's actually there was a lava dart in there, which is really good. Yeah, and then we can just win from a myriad of different ways. We only need 3 more spells to start trying to flip Ral. We have Intuition. We can get the Intuition pile and go off from there. We can cast Desperate Ravings twice, once normally, once with a flashback. We can also Lava Dart as just a straight ritual. Yeah, so this is just win any myriad of different ways, eventually recasting the brain freeze on the whole table or grape shotting the whole table.